Good morning and welcome back to Zoe Breakfast this amazing Monday morning. Week has started well. It's a Monday. I hope you're shaking off the Monday blues. You're right at this, you could be Zoe Breakfast, where we bring the life of God unto you. Remember, this is Zoe TV, where we inspire lives, and it's such a blessing to be able to have this time with you as we kickstart this amazing week. Remember, we are coming to you live on Facebook, on YouTube as well, and as well on Zoe TV. Remember, you can tell us where you are joining us from. The numbers are right down below on your screen: 0700 075 555. It's gonna be great to hear from you, and indeed we cannot wait to hear what God is doing as well in your lives. My name is Ian, always here to remind you are not here by accident. It's such a blessing once again to be able to have this time with you. Well, when it's Monday, you know what it is. It's all about tech and entrepreneurship, and indeed today we are gonna be having such an amazing conversation as we talk about business, as we talk about entrepreneurship. And indeed, I know you have a lot of questions. There's so many things you want to learn as well, and indeed we are looking forward to having an amazing conversation this amazing morning. I have two amazing gentlemen with me on set. One of them is not a guest. I want to repeat that this is someone we've had here on set before. He's been such a blessing to us at Zoe TV, and indeed he's come. Last time he said he'd not come alone. He's kept his word, and indeed he's not alone here. And I just want to reveal these amazing guests unto you. I have Apostle Pat, all the way from Newark Village.
Yes,
Newark
sir.
Village in California.
Yes, sir.
In the US.
Yes.
And I have Mike as well, and indeed it's a blessing to be here with them. And I know you have amazing questions that you want to ask these guys. These guys have wisdom upon wisdom upon wisdom, and indeed we just want to tap everything that God has shown them, and it's gonna be a blessing for us all in Jesus' mighty name. Apostle Pat, karibu sana.
Thank you very much. Asante sana.
Mike, welcome.
Asante.
Good. I can see you're doing well.
I'm learning.
It's a blessing to have you guys. This is Zoe Breakfast. Apostle Pat, it's not your first time to be here with us, and I know that indeed God has continued to place new things that you're going to be helping us to understand, especially about entrepreneurship.
Certainly hope so.
And Mike, it's your first time. Welcome. I want to give you this chance, to just say hello to everyone who's watching us back at home, probably on this camera. Apostle Pat, probably you can start us off.
Very good. Well, greetings. I bring greetings from Newark Village, California. It's a very small little town, about 3 hours due east of San Francisco. We live in the high mountains. Well, high, but it's about the similar elevation that you are here.
Okay.
We're at 5,000 feet. Translate for me into meters, but and I understand as we speak, we're getting snow in the mountains of California.
Wow.
Most people don't know that California has snow, but we do. But it's been my pleasure to join you guys here, and I bring greetings from our church and our community there in Newark Village. I love Zoe Breakfast because the name of our church is Word of Life, and we have a coffee shop that my wife runs, and it's called Zoe Coffee House.
Wow.
So from Zoe Coffee House in Newark Village to Zoe Breakfast, we bring greetings to you.
Amazing. This is destiny.
Yes, absolutely. No accident.
All right, Mike, you can introduce yourself.
So I'm Mike Flores, and I'm Apostle Pat already gave you greetings from Newark, so I don't have to do that. But I am not a native of Newark. I'm actually a native of San Francisco, California. And by way of Word of Life, we were translated to the mountains years ago, and so that is home now to us. And we love it here in Kenya. I've never been to Africa, so thank you for having me. Number one, I appreciate it, and we're all ears to what you want to hear.
All right,
and then we'll tell you what we can.
Great. Well, that's it. Apostle Pat, Mike are in the house, and I know you're watching us as well. So, any questions that you may have about entrepreneurship, about business, this is the right time to send them in, because we're going to be tackling them as we continue with this amazing conversation. And indeed, you can share this broadcast, invite someone to be part of what, is happening right here at Zoe Breakfast as we talk about tech and entrepreneurship. And indeed, I know it's going to be an amazing conversation. But let's start us off here, gentlemen. You know, you guys are like my fathers, first of all. And it's great to have you here. But you've obviously been in business for quite some time. And it would be great to just, you know, get a picture of how your life in business has been, and then so for people who are watching us back at home, to just understand, you know, what's your journey been in entrepreneurship. Probably we can start with you, Apostle Pat.
Be my honor.
Yeah.
Yes, we, in California, we're a very diverse economy.
Yeah.
There's so many different ways people have and run business. Mike and I are similar in the sense that his business builds things, my business builds things. And let me clarify, I have retired from the business I ran for 32 years.
Wow.
But we built precision metal and plastic components for the Silicon Valley, the high-tech world of the Silicon Valley, and all the names that you can think of as Silicon Valley, Apple and Google and Facebook and Cisco and so forth. They are all in the area 30 to 50 miles south of San Francisco, where I was born and raised. And the business we were in part of is with lathes and mills and gear machines. We would make anything from tiny to large parts that were components of robots, of radar equipment, of medical x-ray equipment, sonograms. We supported a broad array of manufacturing, what they call OEMs, original manufacturing companies. And that's what we built.
Wow. So I'm hearing a lot of tools. If you're in Kenya, let me tell you something interesting. You would be located in somewhere called industrial area.
Okay, that's right, industrial.
All right, Mike, what about you?
Well, I came from a totally different background. Actually, I started out when I was in college studying marine geology, in which I loved the water. I wanted to be part of the ocean. And then I came to Jesus, and Jesus moved me 150 miles away from the nearest ocean up into the mountains.
Wow.
So there went that career. And so I started out in bodybuilding. These are back in the days when Arnold Schwarzenegger was just coming in to the United States, and Gold's Gym was popular, and everybody was just starting out in gyms. And that's what I moved to the mountains with that job. A gentleman came into the gym and asked me if I wanted to come to work for him. And I said, well, what do you do? And he says, I build houses. I'm a general contractor. And I said, well, I don't know anything about that. And he goes, well, I'll teach you. And I said, well, I have a job. See, Mike Flores, Kirk Nelson's health spa. And he goes, well, quit. And I said, I can't do that. He's my friend, you know, and I have a family to support. And he said, well, if you ever change your mind, here's my card. Make a long story short, I had to, my boss had to cut down the staff. So I said, well, lay me off. I have a job offer. So I called this guy up and said, when can I start? And he said, I'll pick you up tomorrow. So he picked me up, and on the way out to the job, I said, you know, I'm not interested in being a carpenter. I don't know anything about it. I don't want to be a carpenter. I said, if I get into trades, maybe electrical or something like that. He goes, well, that's all right. I said, well, if I don't stick with you, will you be mad at me? He goes, no, I hired kids all the time. I was only 22 years old.
Wow.
And so we went to a job. The first day, I was lost. I had no clue what he was doing. He said, tomorrow will be good. We're going to go up and we're going to sheet this roof. House was already framed. We're going to put plywood on the roof. So I went with him, and he taught me how to get sheets up on the roof. All morning long, we put the plywood down. In the afternoon, he said, okay, here's a bag of nails, a hammer, and a belt. He goes, I want you to nail off this roof. He said, we talked. He knew I was a musician. I was a drummer. He said, just get a rhythm going and nail this roof. So I nailed all afternoon. That's what I did.
Wow.
By the end of the day, I was done, but my body was done too. My arms hurt, my back hurt, my feet hurt. I went home, and my wife said, just sit in your chair. I'll bring you dinner. Just relax. I said, I don't know if I'm not cut out for this kind of work. But I sat down in my chair, and I reached over and I grabbed my Bible. Random opening, and I just started reading about Jesus, the son of Joseph, a carpenter.
Yes.
And I thought, Jesus was a carpenter. I want to be a carpenter. So I called my boss up. I said, I want to be a carpenter. He goes, oh, that's good. I said, no, I want you to teach me everything there is to know.
Yeah.
He goes, I will. I said, no, I really want to learn. He goes, okay, just show up for work tomorrow. We'll start there. That's how my journey began.
Wow.
But I wasn't a businessman.
Yeah.
I was a builder. I built houses. The Lord downloaded everything I needed to know. Within 6 months, I had my own crew, my own truck. We were building houses. House building was booming in California at that time. And then we started building our church.
Wow.
And I said, that's why I'm here. I want to do that. I literally, before I got into the trades, I said, my wife and I would walk the property, and I said, Lord, I'll do anything. I'll dig ditches. I just want to be part of the construction of this building.
Yeah.
And so I started in. I got to be part of that. Long story short, pastor asked me to stay on to be the superintendent, finish the job, build the other buildings, develop the property. And that's where I really started to develop as an entrepreneur on how to build, how to do commercial building, because all the buildings on the church property were all commercial. We developed everything from the roads, sewer, water, electrical, buildings, from the design up. And that's where I got my start.
Wow. That's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm hearing your story, and it's like you didn't know what was ahead.
Yeah.
It was simply a day at a time. Go back home, read the Bible,
Yeah.
read about Joseph, the father of Jesus, and I was like, this is what I want to do.
Yeah.
And God started, leading the journey from there. It's amazing. And I mean, because today we are talking about kingdom entrepreneurship, and specifically, you're having faith in business. I don't want to separate the mantle on you from Apostle Pat, the businessman, and we are talking about that, but it's important to understand when we talk about entrepreneurship and kingdom entrepreneurship, for that matter, what does it mean to you?
Well, first of all, I am 100% in agreement with you. There is no separating a man from his faith.
Yeah.
He is who he is, and if Jesus and his faith isn't in every fiber of his being, then you have a religion. You don't have Christianity. You're not a disciple. You're just an attender of some religious organization. Jesus was who he was through and through.
Yeah.
And that's what I was taught because I wasn't born and raised in the church. I'm a convert. I was in my early 20s, and I came to this church. I received Jesus, and I wanted to serve him. And I was taught from the very beginning, and boy, it's as biblical as it gets, that you don't separate your faith from your home, from your job, from your friendships. Your faith has got to permeate every aspect of your life.
Yeah.
And it's as much in your business as anything. Now you're talking the basics, the DNA of kingdom business and kingdom enterprise, kingdom entrepreneurship.
Yeah. Wow, that's amazing. And for you, Mike, I mean, what do you understand from the basic understanding of kingdom entrepreneurship?
Well, number one, because I didn't know anything, I went to the Lord for everything.
Yeah.
I understood that what it meant to actually have to ask somebody, how do I do this? How do I do that? And luckily for me, my mentor was my pastor's husband, who just loved to share what he had learned. And he was a union carpenter in the Bay Area, and so he had done a lot of carpentry, and he was willing to share it with me, and I asked lots of questions. So as I learned, and I became now the superintendent of the facility at the church and was doing all the building, I had a lot of young men working alongside of me. So what I understood about kingdom principle is freely you have received, freely give.
Yeah.
So anything that I learned, I was more than glad to share with the young men that came alongside me and wanted to learn. And I believe in that way, you take what you've learned and started to build with, and you give it away, and all of a sudden now you're able to do even more, because now they're an extension of you. I mean, they're their own person, but they're doing the work alongside of you. Yes. And that's what kingdom building's about. Is you got to continue to give away what you've been giving, and you watch it grow. And then that's what I learned in that position is you got to continue to grow this. If it sticks with you, when you die, it's gone.
Yeah, that's true.
You have to give it away.
That's true.
To help.
Wow, because there's a phenomenon here in Africa that people want to retain the business for themselves, and we've seen a history where businesses don't survive, for example, into the second generation or into the third generation, which is quite sad. But I feel that the very nature of entrepreneurship itself, even before we talk about kingdom entrepreneurs, that you're building something to be able to pass it on to someone, and even better when you talk about kingdom entrepreneurship, that there are values as well that you're able to pass down as you do, the business that God has called you in.
It's not different in the United States.
Yeah.
I knew other builders that have great trades and great skills, and if you go to them and you ask them, hey, how do you do that? They go, well, figure it out. I had to learn the hard way. I'm not going to tell you what I learned. You're going to try and take my job over. That's what it's about. They think you want to steal their position in their job.
Wow.
So they won't share with you what they've learned. And in reality, they end up less than, because now they haven't helped anybody. These guys are learning and they're sharing, and they grow not only in their skill but also in their leadership abilities. And so it's the same.
It's the same thing.
They want to keep it to themselves, but the ones that really grow are the ones that are willing to share.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Well, I'm here joined by Apostle Pat and Mike, and we are talking about kingdom entrepreneurship, specifically faith in business. We're having such an amazing time as we just get to debunk this topic about business, especially, for those of us who know Jesus Christ. And indeed, it's amazing that, we can be able to get this time to have this conversation. Well, we want to take a very, very short break. And when we come back, we're just going to be diving deeper into this conversation, get to understand the basics of business. How do you position yourself? How do you start a venture as well? And indeed, it's going to be great as we just get to delve deeper in this conversation. So I know you have a lot of questions, so please keep sending them our way. The numbers are right down below on your screen, 0700 075 555, and it's going to be great as we just get to debunk on these questions that you may be having. So please don't go too fast. Stay with us. We'll see you right after this break.
I'll just share with us a few highlight testimonies that we have gotten in the recent past on Zoe TV. So one of the impact stories is on a life that God redirected back to God. So recently, a sex worker reached out via SMS after watching Zoe TV and resolved to change her life. And I'm going to read her exact message that she sent to us through our studio phone. And she said, hello Zoe TV, I'm gonna leave out the name. And she said, today I watched your programs and have been touched in my heart. I gave up on God and started working as a sex worker after trying many businesses. All failed to pick up. But from the last week I have been feeling I want to come back to God, not knowing how. Please help my heart and my life. Thanks. That is just a message you got from a sex worker. We have no idea whether she was watching that from her own house or from a guest house, from wherever she was. But this kind of messages is what we live for. For people who can say that I have watched, I have been touched, I want to change, and I want to be transformed. We've received a message from a university student who was struggling with depression, and they watched Zoe TV, a Zoe TV program late one night. And as they continued watching, they found hope, faith, and purpose. Today, they are back to school. They are serving in church. Not only that, they are actually mentoring other people. We live for stories like those as Zoe Television. I'll give you another case of a family that got restored. A couple who on the verge of separation began watching Zoe TV. Some of the relationship content. Today their marriage is restored, their home is peaceful, their children are doing well. I'll just share with us another scenario as to why we have the drive and the motivation of doing what we do. And this is a young creative who partnered with Zoe TV and was given a platform. Their talent that was once hidden found a home. Today it is impacting thousands of people, spreading positive faith-based messages, and can go on and on and on. There are people that have gotten media careers by just on the platform of Zoe TV. and seeing them excel even in other places and other establishments is our joy. To know that we were involved at a critical point of their lives when they were finding themselves, and they found themselves, and some of these people are indeed doing very, very well. So
thank you for standing with Zoe TV. Touching lives and taking hope to home. Thank you for standing with Zoe TV.
All right, welcome back to Zoe Breakfast this amazing Monday morning. I hope that you are keeping well. You know, as you join us this Monday morning, you're shaking off the Monday blues, and indeed we're having such an amazing conversation right here at Zoe Breakfast. Remember, it's all about tech and entrepreneurship. I am joined by amazing men on set, Apostle Pat and Mike, all the way from Miwok Village. It's amazing to mention that name, by the way. Miwok Village, all the way from California in the US. And indeed we are, you know, just laying the foundations of entrepreneurship and talking about kingdom entrepreneurship. You know, right before the break we were talking about sharing and moving ideas into other people as well, so that we can be able to have sustainable and, you know, businesses that survive beyond the generations that we are in. And Apostle Pat, you have something that you want to share with us based on that?
Well, it is very countercultural to be generous and to be sharing.
It's countercultural.
It's it's counterintuitive.
Yeah.
You know, in America, in the U.S., in the Silicon Valley, tens of millions of dollars are spent every day patenting, defending, protecting ideas, you know, intellectual property.
Yes.
But Jesus, the essence of Christianity is the generosity of God. God so loved the world that he hoarded his son for himself.
No.
He gave. He didn't give it to people who deserved it.
That's true.
He didn't give it to people who earned it. He gave it to all who would believe. In Mike's experience, he mentioned, so well says it. This fellow says, come to work and I'll show you everything I know. And he found success by coming alongside of people who were willing to teach him and to train him. You know, the Bible says a wise man will listen and increase in knowledge. So the business world is a perfect platform for the principles of Scripture to come alive and to grow. And those who will learn from masters, find masters, and go to and seek to learn. And then on the other side of that table is the master who is willing to give, to be generous. And those who are doing that's kingdom business DNA. To be generous, to be able to share.
Wow. Is it an aspect of insecurity that's coming? That's why someone may not want to share what...
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Insecurity, selfishness, self-aggrandizement. It's all about me. It's all about my, you know. And it's not good business.
Yeah.
It's not healthy. Your business will grow and expand as you generously let others grow and learn. It may seem counterintuitive.
Yes.
Well, if I give it to him, he's going to take it over there and he's going to steal my ideas. And we see plenty of that. But I've been in these businesses before. I've been in the trenches of the Silicon Valley from 1972 until 2004 when I retired. That's the heyday. That's the building time of the Silicon Valley.
Yes.
When Steve Jobs invented the Apple computer, when you know Mark Zuckerberg invented Facebook. I mean, that's all during that period of time. And those men that were willing to share and grow, theirs grew.
That's great, because You're talking about that, and I was just sharing with you that there's the Nairobi is called the Silicon Savannah.
Yes.
Where it's sort of, there's a tech bubble that's happening right here in Nairobi, and all the multinational companies are coming here and setting up offices here, and it's great to see because young people are really getting opportunities, which is great, especially working for companies that are global multinational. It gives them a world view of how to solve problems. But I'd like to flip this a bit, and we've talked about how we can be able to share in the business world, but there's a certain people who probably have ideas, but they've seemingly not started, they've seemingly not moved the needle to sort of start their business ventures. What would you have to say to such a people?
Well, it's understandable because it's scary out there. I can remember when we first started our business, it was just my brother and I, and there were, in one half a square kilometer, there were 47 other businesses like ours. I mean, that competition could be suffocating, right?
Yeah.
So I was scared. How are we going to do? But I'll be honest with you, we had gifts and we had skills, we had some talent, but we were no more talented than many of the others.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you the secret is that we were both Christians and we both dedicated our business to the Lord. I'm not talking a bunch of hocus pocus, but on the same token, we walked according to the principles of the Bible, of integrity, of working together, seeking advice. And when you do that, those fears can be gotten rid of or at least secured, so you'll have the courage to get up and start.
Wow.
One of the great men in the Bible was scared to death about his first opportunity. His name was Joshua. His boss had just died.
Yeah.
And now he's in charge of the 2 million people that just killed him, right?
Yeah.
And now and what was the secret to his success? It was God saying, be encouraged, be courageous, be strong because I'm with you.
Yes.
And he was able to overcome his fears and step in. There's a lot of people who will just shake off fear and plunge into serious failure. So we need to face it, but we need to face it smart. And that is, in the counsel of many there is safety. Like I said a moment ago, a wise person, it doesn't say a wise person is older. It doesn't say a wise person has gray hair. It doesn't say a wise person has multiple degrees. A wise person will listen and increase in knowledge. And if somebody has an idea, and surround yourself with people who will assist you, who will encourage you, who will give you advice. They'll bring that idea into reality.
That's great. And Mike, I want to come to you, and just by listening to your story, I mean, you had no background in the business that you got yourself into, no academic background, first of all, because that's always a perception that people have. I have no knowledge, for example, in technology. I have no knowledge in building. I have no knowledge in construction. And that sort of limits the kind of business someone might want to get into. But I'd just like to ask you, so I have an idea of a business that I want to start. And what are the practical steps that I should be taking with the knowledge that, I don't want to limit myself based on what I know, but sort of have a wide horizon in, like a blank canvas, so that I can be able to paint my own story of sorts. What can you talk about that?
Interesting you asked that, because I was listening to Apostle Pat here.
Yeah.
What I like to believe is that us as believers, we have an unfair advantage over the other businesses in those square kilometers you were talking about, because we have Holy Spirit.
Yeah.
And Holy Spirit will direct you. He has directed you. He's directing you, and he will direct you. He was with us, he's with us now, and he will be with us. There, in my own life, I thought I had no skills. I had no skills that I needed to be a good builder.
Yeah.
But I was mistaken in that, in that God had already set me up. When I was working as studying marine geology, I worked for a cartographer, map maker. He taught me how to draw, and back in those days, everything we built was drawn by hand. So he taught me how to draw undersea maps and things. I did not know, but that would be a skill that I would need later on.
Yeah.
Because once I learned how to build, my boss had to teach me how to read plans, and it came naturally because
Yeah.
I'd already been drawing in a different industry, but still drawing, and I could read maps, I could understand what measurements were. It applied directly, and I could use that skill. Then came, because this is a tech, study, and the next step was everything was shifting from hand drawings to electronic drawings, and I had no skill in that.
Yeah.
Yet I had a friend who was studying that. He was an architect, and he was learning, and he was willing to share with me all about this. So I started learning, and then I would ask the Lord the unfair advantage again. Father, download to me. I have no idea. It took me an hour just to draw one line to the proper dimension in the proper space on the page. But once I got that and applied that to my drawing, the rest started coming.
Wow.
And I knew it was God downloading to me on how to do this. The next building, we designed the entire building all on computer.
Wow.
I had no computer skills, no computer drafting skills. But because I was willing to learn and listen to my mentor in carpentry and my mentor in architectural drawing, I learned quickly. And from that, knowing that God wanted me to move on, you're talking about how to get started in a new business. I was the builder for the church. I wasn't my own contractor.
Yeah.
Stepping out of that role and having that to become, my own boss, building my own business, starting up a construction company from the ground up. There too, I looked for other people that knew how to do the parts of the business that I didn't.
Wow.
I could build anything, pretty much. And even if I didn't know how, I knew the source of the information.
Yeah.
And I could go to him. But as far as the business workings of it,
Yeah.
I said, Lord, I've never run a business. I've done the books for the church as far as buying materials and those things, but I found a Christian businessman who was also pastor and was willing to mentor me in business. And I said, I don't know how to do books.
Yeah.
He goes, I do. He goes, let me do that portion for you. I'll walk alongside you until you get good enough on how this works to, you know how to build, I know how to do books, put them together, let's work together.
Yeah.
So for people that are learning now and they have skill, maybe they've developed a product, but they haven't developed the business sense. Seek God and ask for Him to bring somebody that will walk alongside of you. Not only will you learn that part of the business, which is totally different. Apostle Pat, he was the businessman and his brother was the machinist.
Yeah.
But the two of them together built this business that is now worth literally millions, billions, because they worked together. One had what the other one didn't.
Yeah.
You put them together, now you have something. So you can always find somebody that will walk alongside of you and teach you those things.
Yeah.
That's good.
It helps you to develop not only just the sense and the business, but also the encouragement as I can do this because I got somebody alongside of me that's got that ball.
It's no longer lonely.
I don't have to carry that ball. They've got it, and they're teaching me. I'm teaching them my end. Together, we're building this business together.
Wow.
What's the old African proverb? You want to go far, or you want to go fast, go alone.
Go alone.
You want to go far, go together.
Go together.
Right? Yeah.
I can see you doing well. There's something I want to talk about, and it's something that's really been making or is in the mind of people here in Africa or in Kenya. That businesses in the West sort of have a global horizon, global view, whereas you'd find probably and I'm sure you guys have the same thing over there. When you're starting a business, you're obviously not thinking about, we've had the Mark Zuckerberg story, and when he was starting Facebook, it was simply to connect students on his campus. Then the thing exploded and became a global thing. But I just want you guys to talk about briefly about having a global mindset when you are in business, because again, you have a problem that you're solving here. That problem could be elsewhere, but you've just not looked or expanded your view to be able to think about the possibilities that are outside there. Is there something you'd like to talk about that?
Well, I do know that with the current technology that we have, globalism is on your phone. You know, in 1972, when I started in business, that wasn't the case. Our phone was attached to a wall with a wire, and you had a rotary thing, it clicked, you know. So it is a lot easier today to be global, to go global. So with that in mind, people should always be considering a global perspective. Set your sights high. Look further on the horizon, because you have an opportunity. We didn't have that back then. We solved the problem here. But so I want to encourage everybody who is wanting to go into business, even if you think that what you have to offer is only a local demand or need, I'm here to tell you, keep your eyes open, keep your head high, keep looking on the horizon, and opportunities will come. And you don't know when that's going to occur. You don't know. I mean, just 2 weeks ago, we had a ministry, a friend of ours rise up in our church, and we introduced them, and they made a brief description of the ministry God's launching, and somebody's helping them with their social media, took a video of it, and they posted it, and it had 15,000 hits before sundown. By the end of the week, it was 500,000 hits. So you never know. Keep your eyes up. Keep looking at the horizon.
Wow. That's amazing. Well, I'm here joined by Apostle Pat and Mike, and we are talking about business. You know, as we were just wrapping up this segment, you know, we are talking about the, you know, globalism in business, expanding our horizon, expanding your view of the business that you are in. And I know, you know, this is speaking to you directly, you who's an entrepreneur, and it's great, you know, for you to, you know, just bring those questions in as we continue with this conversation. 0700 075 555 is the number that you can text or WhatsApp your questions, and we're going to be tackling them as we continue with this conversation. We're going to be taking a short break, and when we come back, we'll just be wrapping up this segment of tech and entrepreneurship. So please don't go too far. Stay with us. We'll see you after the break.
How are you today? I hope that you're doing well. Now, the youth are in a place in their lives where they need guidance, where they need exposure, where they need experience, so that they can be able to make informed decisions about their lives and to end up in places where they're supposed to end up. But this will become very difficult if there's no information and intentionality in guiding them and showing them which way to go. And that is where Zoe TV comes in, because Zoe TV is here to inspire lives, to direct, to influence our youth in the right direction. So you want to keep it here, you want to partner with us, and also you want to keep watching. There's a lot of entertainment and an array of programs that will keep you light and glued to your screen. My name is Benjamin Waka, and this is Zoe TV, inspiring lives.
Hello, and how are you doing? Now, media is one of the most powerful tools on earth. But the question is, who is holding the microphone? At Zoe TV, we believe that media should spread life. For the past 3 years, we have been dedicated to producing and broadcasting content that inspires lives as we drive clean media. We have seen God using this platform to touch countless lives, and we know that this is just the beginning. There are still many households and communities where clean and Christ-centered content is desperately needed, and we are ready to reach them. But we cannot do this alone. We are calling on partners who will join us in sharing the life of God through media. Your support will help us to stay on air and keep expanding our reach to many people who need this message. So to partner with us, you can use the details provided below. You can also talk to us for more information. Every gift goes a long way to help us reach more people with the gospel. God bless you as you consider to be a Zoe TV partner. Welcome to the team.
My name is Amy Kosgei Madubuko, and you're watching Zoe TV, Inspiring Lives. This is my message for you. Never allow your circumstances, your problems to define who you are. Where you are now is not your destination. There is more to this life. Keep trusting and believing God and keep becoming until you become what He has called you to be. God bless you and stay tuned.
Right, welcome back to Zoe Breakfast this amazing Monday morning. I hope you're having an amazing time as you continue with this conversation on tech and entrepreneurship. Remember, we do this every Monday. We get to talk about technology. We get to talk about entrepreneurship. So, if you've not done so yet, please set that alarm clock, because every Monday morning there's an amazing conversation for you at Zoe Breakfast as we talk about tech and entrepreneurship. And today I'm joined by amazing people. He's a man who have walked the talk when it comes to entrepreneurship, and today they're just giving us nuggets, giving us wisdoms that have helped their businesses to stand the test of time, and indeed we can still see the humility in them as we continue with this conversation. Remember, keep sharing this broadcast, and we trust that you'll be a blessing to someone this Monday morning. Apostle Pat, Mike, thank you once again for continuing this conversation. I'd like us to talk about values in business. We're in a season, or we are in a phase in the current times that we're living in, where values have sort of been eroded. You look like things like the emergence of TikTok and other social media sites as well, where people want to trend, people want to go viral, but it's because the things that are making them go viral are not necessarily the right things. And even the businesses that people, we have a joke here in Kenya that if you want to make it fast, get into forex. The young people are getting into forex a lot because it's sort of a make money quick scheme. And obviously there are true people who are doing forex exchange as a business, and it's making them money. But there's been a phenomenon where young people don't get into forex, don't get into get rich quick schemes. But I just want us to talk about values very briefly. I've heard your story, and you've been in business for quite a long time, over 30 years, and I look at you today, still a grounded man of God, with a global ministry, but you don't look a bit like someone who's doing such amazing things in the body of Christ, but also in the business world. Could you briefly just help us understand, and specifically for you, talk about the place of humility in business?
Well, humility is just one of the many values that the Bible teaches. And I think, you mentioned it at the very beginning of our conversation here, faith in business. I think as believers, we start off with a failure when we try to separate those. Those things, they have to be who you are. And if you aren't able to be yourself and be who you are in your business, then you're a phony, you're a fake. And you won't last long. Most people can see a fake. I don't know anybody who wants to do business with somebody that is known to steal, to cheat, or to lie. If you're interviewing somebody to work for you or to manage a department, or if you're interviewing somebody to supply service or product for you, do you want somebody who's going to steal, cheat, and lie? No. So if you bring your biblical-based values to your workplace, and it's clear that you're not somebody who steals, cheats, and lies, you're already going to be on the top of somebody's list of candidates for that job, that management position, that service, or that product. And humility is one of them. Humility, good Christian work ethic. Do you show up on time? Do you know how to do what you're told? Do you check your brain in at the door, or do you use your brain all day long? Or are you looking at your phone the whole time? These are all aspects of Christian values. It's funny that our language has used the term values, because when you walk and live in and display Christian values, you add value to the person, to the company you work for. And humility is one of them. I don't know anybody who likes to work with somebody who spends the whole time talking about themselves, or they're the only person who's smart enough, or the only person who's talented enough. Nobody wants to work for those kind of people. Nobody wants those kind of people working for you. So frankly, I recommend humility. It'll help you get a job, and it'll help you keep a job.
Yeah.
So if you are interested in your own success, try a good dose of humility.
Wow, that's amazing. And do you have anything to add, Mike?
Well, yes, and another characteristic of a man of God who's in business is integrity.
Yeah.
And what I know of the simplicity of integrity is doing the right thing when nobody's watching. And in my business, because I'm a builder, and most of the time the owner that I'm working for is not there.
Yeah.
And I have to make sure that I'm giving him what he's paying for. Giving him the best of my skill, putting the best of my workers on his job, and managing that to where he gets what he's paying for. And if he wants something less, and he tells me that, I can do that. But mostly I tell him, if you don't want the quality that we give, I think you called the wrong man. Because our business is about doing quality craftsmanship for you, because you have to live with it. I always tell people, you'll forget how long it took and how much it cost, but you will remember if they did a good job, because you have to live with it, right? You have to live with the product. So integrity is a huge part of the business I do, and I tell that to the guys that come on board with me. I said, oftentimes I'm not going to be there. I want you to do the best job you know how. And if you don't know how to do the job, don't pretend when you first come on the job that, oh yeah, I can do that. And don't rely on, your phone to look it up on, and see how to do it. I said, let me know. And I said, I'll show you. I don't, ask me. And then when I come back, I will expect that it be done to this level of quality. And that's because that's what my customer is paying for. So it's all around board. Integrity is a really important factor in you running your business.
All right. I mean, it's the simple things. Be humble, be a man of integrity. It's not about become the best brain in business. Do the simple things and you'll find yourself being elevated. Is that correct? That's great. Well, I want us to close this by talking about, the nature of small and medium-sized businesses here in Kenya. Very humble. Start off with a very humble story. Someone might probably be looking for something to do out of a lack of school fees, for example, out of a lack of food for the day, and very small stories. But I want us to talk about not despising the humble beginnings of businesses, because a majority of businesses have that mindset: if I can do it to help me solve this problem, and I don't look at anything beyond that. In any sense, even the starting of that business is not normally very simple. Our government here in Kenya has, come up with very different measures on how to help young people to start business ventures with very, what we'd call it, very little money. I think about 22,000 shillings. If I divide that by 100, it's probably about $200 or something, or $100 of that sort. But probably if you guys can talk about not despising, humble beginnings when you're starting a business, because you never know where that could take you. Is there something you'd like to share with us?
I'd love to. I don't know of anything that starts big. Everything starts small. From the largest tree in the world, which is in our backyard, the sequoia redwood tree. It grows to 20 and 30 feet in diameter and 100 meters tall, and it starts with this tiny little seed. But when that seed, which has everything it needs, when it's given the right environment and the right opportunity, it will germinate, and it will grow into that. So our business, it was just my brother. He invited me in. It was just the two of us, and we just grew slowly. We didn't go into great debt, and it took its course. People wanted quality of who we were. They wanted our value added to their product, and over the course of time, we grew. Just a few weeks or maybe a month ago, Apple celebrated their 50th birthday. And you know where it started? In Sunnyvale, in Steve Wozniak's parents' garage. They weren't paying rent, and they were just scrounging electronic components and went with what they had in their hands. They went with what they had. A lot of people say, well, we can do anything. Well, that's great, but can you work with anything? You know,
interesting, yeah.
can you make do
Yeah.
with what you have? And just about all of them did that. You'd mentioned Mark Zuckerberg. In his dorm room,
That's true.
he started this system.
Yeah.
You know, so I think it's crucial. In fact, here we are again speaking back to the Bible. In one of the minor prophets, it says, "Don't despise the day of small beginnings."
Yes. Wow, that's great, because I felt there's a haste, if I can say that, Mike, when people are starting a business, they're not happy about this beginning stage because it's hard, and they want to hasten that process, and that's what will probably land them in crooked dealings, or things that may not necessarily help the business to grow in the right manner. Do you have anything you'd like to add on that?
Well, like I said, I started out. I didn't actually start my business until I was 63 years old.
Wow.
But I'd been the builder for the church for 37 years.
Yeah.
Right? It was like I was starting all over again, because I wasn't a contractor. I first of all had to take a test, get approved by the state of California to go out and actually quote jobs. But I had a handful of tools. In fact, I started with a used truck. Thank you, Apostle Pat. When I retired, I didn't retire.
Yeah.
I refired in a whole other direction. And he said, we don't have a lot to help you get started with, but you can buy our truck at a very, very cheap price. It's been my business truck at the church for years. So I started out with a used truck, a handful of tools, and a reputation. People knew who I was, and they knew the work that was done at the church. And you can start out small as a nobody, but if they know that you're quality, if they know that you're honest, they know you have integrity, you can start small. And for me, as a builder, as a house builder, my first job was just, hey, can you fix this door for me? Can you repair a door for me? Put some hardware on it?
Yeah.
I said, sure. And I did that, and I just worked by the hour, and they thanked me and unpaid me. And next job was, hey, I've got this bathroom that's dilapidated. Can you fix that? Sure. And then it grew from there. So, and then with each job, I had to buy a new tool that I didn't have. And one smart thing that I learned from my apostle was, buy it when you can afford it, when you have the money to pay for it cash. Don't buy things on credit, because then it'll end up costing you more, because you have to pay interest on it.
That's true.
And all that. Just deal with what you got. And I did learn that at church, because we didn't have a whole lot when we started. Now we have a full shop with all equipment, trucks, snow removal equipment. When we first started out, we had hand shovels. And we knew that if we worked together, we could get it done. And as we started to grow, we needed equipment, we would buy it. But my pastor taught me, buy it cash. Cash has got, you have more opportunity with cash, because you can bargain with it.
Yeah.
So I will pay you cash for that. How much you want for it? I'll give you this much cash.
Yes.
And people were willing to deal with you.
Yeah.
And so we grew from nothing, and I grew from starting out all over again. I want to say this: you're never too old to start again.
That's true.
And because you have the unfair advantage, you have God behind you, and if He's for you, no one can be against you. And He'll help you. You give it; it all belongs to Him anyway.
Yeah.
None of that, what I have, my equipment, my company, none of it belongs to me. I'm a steward of my company that God has given me.
Wow.
He's allowed me to grow that and grow my clients. And when I get home from here, I have jobs laid out for me, ready to go to. I don't have to worry about, I've been gone all this time. What am I going to do now? But God has set me up, and I don't have to worry about it. I have men that work for me, that love to work for me. Because I got you. You go. We'll take care of this. When I go back, I know that they have taken care of it for me. So starting small doesn't mean you start with no knowledge. It means starting with what God has given you and going from there and just asking the Lord to increase you as you move along.
Amen. I mean, there's a question that is banging deep, and I know we are short of time, but I have to ask this question. You guys are here in Kenya right now on a ministry assignment, but there's the freedom that has come. I mean, Apostle Pat, you've been in business for 30 years. You knew the right time to come in and the right time to hand it over to the next person. And we have a challenge in that here, where people want to not pass down their businesses to the next generation. And I feel it's from a sense of not having anything, not knowing anything beyond your business. I don't know whether you're saying that having no purpose to it is the right way to put it. No purpose to life is the right way to put it. But I feel that there is a challenge there. But I'd like to ask you that when you're doing business, is it that you, in your mind, you're like, I'm doing this to provide, or are you just using it to sort of fuel the purpose that that God has placed over your life?
Well, I believe that what God has placed as purpose in my life will provide for my family.
Yeah.
I think that's a crucial component. Is one of the areas, at least in America, is people begin to identify themselves by what they do. Whereas we identify ourselves by who saved us. Mike Flores said it years ago when he preached one time. He said, carpentry, that's not who I am. That's what I do to pay my bills. I'm a follower of Jesus. And he's gifted me with the ability to be a carpenter. And I think it's almost a death knell. It's almost a cancer in our mind when we get so attached to what we do and we allow it to define us and to restrict us. And then when that's done, or when it's time to let it go, we're literally being asked to let go of who we are. And we can understand why it's so hard for people to let go. But when you make your identity Jesus in the kingdom of God, and you see that these are his, like Mike said, and we're simply his stewards, it's a lot easier to let it go. Someone once told my bishop, he said, Bishop Tony Miller was his name. He said, Bishop Tony, you have an amazing church here. What a success story. He says, I don't know if it's a success. At the time he had over 2,000 members of his church. How can you say that it's not a success? He says, it's never a success until it has a successor.
Until there's a successor.
And so I think it's valuable for us to recognize we are his, and that's our identity. And this is a phase of life. Lord, let me do it well, and let me help others do it well also. And then he'll move you in to the next level of success in your life.
I mean, and I'm just looking at the life of Jesus Christ, and that's exactly what happened. Came with the message of the gospel, equipped his disciples, and now we are here in Africa today because of the disciples and what they did. And I think that's the greatest example that we can have, right? And
he had a construction business and set it down to go into the next, being a pastor.
Wow, that's great. I mean, we are having such an amazing time here with Apostle Pat and Mike, and we are talking about Kingdom Entrepreneurship and Faith in Business. This is our Tech and Entrepreneurship Monday segment, and indeed it's been amazing as we just get to learn from these amazing gentlemen here, and as they talk about the experience in business and what God has taught them along the way. I'd like to give them an opportunity, Apostle Pat and Mike, if you will, to just give some parting shot to encourage someone who's joining us this morning. Probably they're in business and probably dealing with a few situations here and there. Probably if you could just speak to them.
Well, I'd love to. First of all, thank you. If you're in business today, thank you for taking the step, gathering the courage, and taking that step to be in business, providing for your family through this, providing for the families of your employees and so forth. Thank you for taking that step of courage. And I want to encourage you further to make sure you don't lose your identity in your business. Let Jesus be your identity. Let the King of Kings be the ruler of your life, and service to him in your business, as well as your family, as well as your friends, as well as your ministry at church. Let those things be the way you bring glory to the one you identify, Jesus. These are principles that have been proven over time. They have survived the test of time. Whether it was carpentry back in the days of Jesus, or whether you're in the highest level of artificial intelligence research, the principles of the Bible stand true. And when you see those as the values of your life, you'll add value to every business, every supplier, every customer, and you will never be unemployed because you brought the values of the Bible to the values of your customer, their products, and their customers. So we bless you today. We encourage you today. And remember, seek ye first the kingdom of God, and all these other things he will take care of in your life.
Wow. I mean, when people hear you will never not have employment, it's music to their ears, and that's great to hear. Well, Mike, do you have any parting shots?
Well, I was young, and now I'm old.
Yeah.
But I have never seen anyone that's following God, putting him first and putting the kingdom of God first, not have a roof over their head, food on their table, clothes on their backs. My family included. And I know that God is my provider. And if you know that, you stay close to him, he will always provide for you. It might not look like what you think it should look like, right? But I look back on my life and I see that he was always there. He always not just provided for my needs, but he provided me the skill and the knowledge to supply for the needs of my church and my church family. And in leaving that environment, my thoughts were, okay, now what do I do for the rest of my life? And the most important thing the Lord put on me is work and lay up for your children that are coming behind you and for the things that I've called you to do. So that, and I'll provide for you. You set your sights on those things. Set your sights on what I'm calling you to do beyond the work that you've been doing, and let me provide for you. And you'll see what I'll fill your vats. I bring my tithes into the storehouse, and he always provides more. He fills me to overflowing. He performs what his word said. He goes, see if I will not pour out a blessing that you will not even be able to contain. My cup runneth over, flowing over. And it's because he wanted me to do things like come here to Kenya. I can do so because he has provided. And he always will, and he always does.
Wow.
And that's why I get like I am. I get choked up because God has always been my provider, and he's filled us to overflowing. And we have joy beyond comprehension because of it. He loves us with an everlasting love.
Amen. Wow, that's pretty amazing. Thank you so much. I mean, you guys, really, you carrying the presence of God, and we're so blessed to have you here with us, just pouring out your experience and telling us how God has enabled you to come this far. And I'm really blessed as well to just see you guys coming here to Kenya to be a blessing unto us, and seeing the success and the places that God has carried you from, to allow us to just borrow from what God has shown you. It's really a blessing, and we continue to pray that God will continue to be with you guys. And thank you once again for honoring the call of God to come here to Kenya and be a blessing to the Zoe TV family back at home.
Karibu sana.
All right, well, thank you so much for you who's watching us back at home. Indeed, it's been an amazing 1 hour conversation, just talking about kingdom entrepreneurship, having faith in business. And indeed, every Monday we do this. It's about tech and entrepreneurship, and indeed, we cannot wait to meet you on the next one. My name is Ian. It's been a pleasure to have you here with us. Remember, those questions that are coming in, we'll keep responding to them even beyond this conversation. Remember, the conversation does not end here. We're still continuing with this on Facebook, on YouTube as well. And indeed, we trust that God is going to help us even as we stay aligned to our purpose, even in the marketplace. Be blessed. And indeed, until next time, we'll see you again. See you on the next one.